Blessed love, life giver and keeper of life, King Selassie, Jah Rastafari. We do give thanks continually for Negus and Negas Exilbear. We give thanks for Madadi Alem, give thanks for Haile Selassie I. I do welcome you first of all to the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge. And this is the mystic vibration. You have entered into the tiger's nest, what we refer to as the seventh dimension, scholarship. And of course, for those who listen to our broadcasts and listen to our uploads, you would know that we have begun a series of programs designed specifically for the internet, for the Facebook, entitled The Mystic Vibration. Of course, you also would know that I have a radio program that I do right here from Antigua, entitled The Mystic Vibration. Is a program that I've been doing for 20 years. And it is because of that radio program that I have set off even on my quest and this whole liberation work. And this is where I lecture internationally. I have actually hosted several radio programs under different names, different titles, television programs. As you could see, I run my own institute where I give my lectures every Sunday, where we teach from our own curriculum, yoga, karate. We teach people how to create vegan foods, many different things. But as I said, the foundation of such, after accepting the faith of Rastafari, is the Mystic Vibration radio program. So now we have converted the Mystic Vibration to an internet broadcasting program where you will be getting an upload of the Mystic Vibration approximately every 7 days, give or take a few days. And as you would know, our first edition, which this is the second, our first episode was entitled The Origin of Civilization. Now today we will be dealing with the Bible, not necessarily just the origin of the Bible. We have entitled this episode Who Wrote the Bible? But it'll be deeper than who wrote the Bible. We will be decoding the Bible as well, and I will dare say we will be showing exactly how an individual should utilize the Bible and utilize this compass. I know it will be a very provocative subject, very controversial, although I haven't said squat diddly as yet. I know many people, the horses are on the starting line, ready to go, ready to debunk the words that I've said, even though I haven't uttered a word as yet. And I know this for a fact. Why? I'm not ashamed to say. But my outlook and my, I would say, philosophy on many things is unique, to say the least. You cannot deny it. And how I am so sure is because, number one, a lot of what I say, at least in the way that I would say it, I've never heard it said so before. And to add to that, when I utter certain information, you must know for a fact that many people on all sides of the aisles get extremely offended. And I do not find myself to be an offensive person at all. But whatever the case is, this is a subject for sure that is touchy. As I said, it will be provocative and will be controversial, but that doesn't make a difference. It will also be the truth. So I'm inviting you, my brothers and sisters, to open your mind, open your heart, come in with a clear conscience as we go into this second episode in our new set of series, The Mystic Vibration, dealing directly with our liberation, knowledge, information, inspiration. And I would say it again, I personally, some people say they're historians, some people say that they're scientists, some people say that they're liberators. I deal directly with the mystery system. Give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life. I ask you to full joy this episode of the Mystic Vibration. Give thanks. Blessed love. Holy Emmanuel I Selassie Jah Rastafari. The Bible is considered as the most important book on the world stage. Whether you admire it or you don't, it is a book that many people consider to be the constitution of life itself. So what we will be doing this program, not just looking into the Bible, not directly the origin of it, but more than anything, looking into the mystery system of the Bible and really how it is to be used. Now, of course, there are many that totally discard it, although most, if not all, still refer to it from time to time, even just to say, well, even the Bible says. I mean, it is a book that when you go into the courts, they would prefer you swear on it and take the oath not to lie, as if because you swore on the Bible that you're going to tell the truth. If you lie, lightning may hit you. Remember, you just swore on the Bible now, you can't tell us a lie. So this is the power that the book has in the eyes of many. This book for sure, without a doubt, has been used as a tool to prolong the act of slavery, especially mentally and religiously, spiritually as well, which obviously would lead to an economic and a physical enslavement. So now, when it also comes to the origin of the book, many people will say, well, this book really, well, first of all, the book was given by inspiration, inspired individuals, inspired by the Almighty, wrote the book. And then, of course, there are other outlooks now. Oh, the Bible was written by white people. And then there is another outlook. Oh, well, the Bible is really stolen stories that have been plagiarized. The Bible is a book of Jewish history. The Bible specifically is nothing but rubbish. It should be in the trash bin. And there are many different outlooks, and some of them have some level of truth to it. But can we sit down and analytically prove and point by point show exactly the origin of these books without passion and without emotion, I should say? Emotion is without an emotional outlook and how you feel alone, but looking at it historically as far as we can trust in the history too, because some history is science, and some history itself that we consider to be history needs to be proven as well. But anyway, the Bible and the knowledge of the Bible, I want to begin this edition here of the Mystic Vibration with some words of Haile Selassie, of which I quoted from the previous time. And as a Rastafari, I think that it is important that you observe the words of His Imperial Majesty. This is why you are a Rastafari. Now I know that there are those of you who are not Rastafari, and some of you do not have even respect for Haile Selassie I. You do not understand who that individual really is. Well, I personally have never been known to be a person to try to force my theology as such and how I look on things on a spiritual level down the throat of no one. It may appear so because the facts are just so on point, so it looks like, you know, I'm invading your space. That's why many people get offended at the truth that I speak. But I don't speak to convert no one. I don't speak to change no one from what they are. I just do what I got to do because I know I got to do it. But anyway, these words of Haile Selassie I, and this is from a speech that is well known, and I will not read everything, but it begins. Please listen. We in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions of the Bible. But however old the version may be, in whatever language it might be written, the word remains one and the same. It transcends all boundaries of empires and all conception of race. It is eternal. Listen to this. Today, man sees all his hopes and aspirations crumbling before him. He is perplexed and knows not whether he is drifting, but he must realize that the Bible is his refuge and the rallying point for all humanity. In it, man will find solution of his present difficulties and guidance for his future action. And unless he accepts with a clear conscience the Bible and its great message, he cannot hope for salvation. For my part, I glory in the Bible. Words of Haile Selassie. That was not the whole speech. That's really what I wanted to present. Some very key words. And to be very, clear with you, even the listeners, those who may not even know me, I'm an individual that I get fire from every side, from every side. You could imagine, if you just watch my videos and listen to what I say, you could imagine. So the conventional Rastaman, he puts fire on me. I don't say he does me anything, he fires, he put the fire. I'm not saying I'm being burnt. The Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was thrown in fire, but they were not burned. I'm just showing you they're those that fire, and most of what I'm going to say after now, you will see why, the reason for the fire. And then there's another set altogether, that does not even believe that this discussion should be taking place for one reason or the other. How dare you doubt the Bible? Then there's another said, man, the Bible is nothing but a poison book for black people. All right, whichever side you think you're taking, you cannot run away from the fact that it's book number one. And that's the problem. Nothing wrong with you thinking that way, but all of us are not teachers. I see a lot of people trying to teach and they were not born teachers. Go and study your stars, brother. Ask your mommy when you were born exactly, what time of the day. Go and check and see what planet was where, and couple that with your natural ability and talent and see if you were really supposed to be a teacher. Some of us are researchers, and not teachers. Some of us are teachers and not necessarily researchers. We need a real research team. It's a very serious work that we have to do here. So we're wasting a lot of time being dogmatic and, maybe trying to push our identity and our own little feelings on other people to the point we get so irritated when somebody even says a word that we don't think, because, remember, the God Almighty says, what God? What God, man? You still using the word God? I mean, we got to take our time, brother. I'm going to do a whole lecture on God so you could understand. I know God. God is not just a Gothic German word. God is a German being. It's an insult, really, for you to refer to the essence that created all things as God. Yeah, reality. But that doesn't mean you're going to stop the whole conversation just because the word came out of somebody's mouth. It's an understanding now. So all of that, is very key, because a lot of us, even as the same Bible says, it's important to have understanding. And a lot of us, we have knowledge, but the knowledge that we have, we do not understand it. Now, as Haile Selassie says in that speech, we in Ethiopia has one of the oldest versions of the Bible. Good. Now let us deal with some history here. As far as our knowledge would take us, the oldest known copy of the Hebrew text, the Hebrew Bible, the complete, is what is known as the Leningrad Codex, 1008 to 1009, not BCE, AD. So this is approximately from the time of this recording 1,000 years ago. Come on, let's set our mind now. I really want everyone to be with me on the same plane, on the same frequency. The oldest. So if we're looking for the oldest Hebrew Bible, can you find a Bible written in Hebrew? Why you choose Hebrew? Why not Hebrew? It is said that Hebrew was the language of the Old Testament, isn't it? The Bible was written in Hebrew, and Abraham was the first Hebrew. This is what we have been taught. This is important, you know, because a lot of what we have been taught is not exactly what it is. But I'm dealing with now what we've been taught. So let us deal with what we've been taught. So what have we been taught? The Bible was written in Hebrew, the Old Testament at least. Hebrew. Good. The oldest Hebrew text, complete text, is the Leningrad Codex. And it is dated approximately 1,000 years ago. Now the story of Genesis and the Exodus and Deuteronomy, etc., were written by Moses. And when Moses wrote this, the Hebrew language was already in motion. And Moses wrote the Torah or the Tanakh, the Old Testament as well, the first 5 books specifically, the first 5 books, let me be clear. In Hebrew, at least, this is what we are expected to believe. Alright. Now I'm returning to a previous program that we had entitled The Origin of Civilization. And if you have not seen that, that's the Mystic Vibration number 1 specifically, The Origin of Civilization. And in that episode, we were explaining the whole aspect of the language. And we showed that the ancient Kushite language that was seen in Medu-Neter style, sacred writing style, what they call the hieroglyphs style, came, as I said, from the ancient kingdom of Kish or Kush, Ethiopia, going down the river Nile into Kemet. And the hieroglyph, as you are accustomed to today, that hieroglyph itself is now is now seen in many forms. The Coptic is modern day hieroglyphs, because from the hieroglyph you got the hieratic script, which came down to the Demotic script. All of this is in ancient Northeast Africa, and this precedes the other languages as well, at least the hieroglyph, but the other languages came off from such. You can prove this. You could only speak about a Niger Delta script if you want to pull out a script that can be compared to the ancient script, the ancient Kushite script, if you understand what I'm saying. These English languages don't have no script. So that's why the Phoenician tongue is considered to be the mother of language in general, all languages in general. But they got their script also, again, from the ancient Kushite script, you know. So all these languages now, from the Arabic to the Aramic, and the Aramic is even the father of the Hebrew. We're dealing with linguists now. We're not dealing with religion. I'm not talking belief. Even if I believed that Abraham not only was the first Hebrew, but he spoke the language, the Hebrew language as we know it today, whether it be the so-called modern Hebrew or the ancient Hebrew. Even the ancient Hebrew came off of a script that comes straight out of Northeast Africa. Now, I've heard individuals speak about the Hebrew tongue and showing that they have ancestors before Abraham that carried the exact name Hebrew or Ibra, and this tongue can be seen in India coming from the Sanskrit. I have done some research in that, and I have cited very few people mentioning it, but it's just a mention. You know, I'm not saying it's not so, but I have not come across that concrete fact. But as we say concrete, like written in stone, I know for sure use your dating, and we don't need your carbon 14 all the time as such, you know, because some of our monuments have the dates on it. And from my knowledge, I can stand on the fact that if we're going to deal with at least the proof that I can prove, the oldest writings are from Northeast Africa. Tens of thousands, 20,000 going 40,000 years back. Even the hieroglyph that we know of today in its heyday came from up the River Nile. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of that is to say, if you're going to look at this factually, that the time span that Moses received the commandments and the time span that the Exodus and everything else was taking place, when we deal with history and when we deal with the history of language, Hebrew as we know it in its ancient and even the Yiddish form did not exist as yet. That is very important. Now, especially as a Ras, you know, ones will jump up and say, hey, don't try to say that, you know. Selassie already said, we in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions. Okay, I'm glad you say that. And the one of the oldest versions that we in Ethiopia have, what is the oldest version written in? It was not Hebrew. It was not Hebrew. It was not Aramaic. It was definitely not Greek. It was an ancient African language. It is Ge'ez. Now, Ge'ez is another form of hieroglyphs. Ge'ez is a written form, the cursive form. That is why the Ge'ez is similar to the Coptic, coming straight from the Demotic, coming off of the Hieratic, which definitely comes straight from the Middle Nature, the hieroglyphs. And this is why right knowledge escapes a lot of us, because our belief blinds us from accepting the truth. So because you believe that Moses got the 10 Commandments and it was written in Hebrew, when you come along with the facts now that showed us Hebrew is really an AD language, not even BC. And I know many ones will, you know, argue and, you know, say this and no, we can prove it here. Look, you have glyphs of the Israelites going into Babylonian captivity. I'm not saying that's not so. I'm not talking about the Israelites. I'm speaking specifically of a language. Now, saying all of that to say, let us deal again with the Torah. This is why I could show you the Leningrad Codex is just 1,000 years ago, and it is the oldest manuscript of a Bible. I am not speaking of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I am speaking specifically of the Bible. Now listen good. When you understand, for example, the Septuagint. Now the Septuagint is said to be the book that the Torah, it was translated directly from the Hebrew text
the Torah. Now, this Torah that the Septuagint was translated from, it is not a book that you can detect or find anywhere. So in other words, the manuscript, you see, like how we show you the temples with the carvings and the ancient pyramid texts. We went through this in our previous documentary. The pyramid texts and the coffin texts. These are texts 4,000, 5,000 years BCE. But the Septuagint now, which was translated approximately 285 BCE, 285 years BCE, yes. The book or the script or the manuscript as such that it was translated from, which is, we have been taught, the book that Moses wrote, you would not be able to find that book anywhere. All right. So that's missing evidence. All right. We're not saying it's not so. All we're saying is that that cannot necessarily be proven. You get what I'm saying? No, come on, don't come try nothing. That cannot be proven, even if you believe it, and it may be a true belief, but it still can't be proven. So here we go now. So where was this Septuagint translated? Where did all of this take place? Historically, this is the beginning of the Bible, eh? Because remember, the Bible was not written. The Septuagint, when the Septuagint was translated, as I said, 200 years and 85 added to that BCE, that's before Christ. So that means Christ wasn't born when the Septuagint was translated. Christ was reading the Septuagint when he was on the scene. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and James and Peter were not around when the Septuagint was translated. So in other words, the Septuagint was just the first part of the Bible. That's why the Bible is divided into different parts. Even the Old Testament is divided into different parts. Just an understanding. Okay, good. So now the Septuagint was translated in Kemet, in Egypt. Quite interesting. Now to me, that alone tells you something. Now come on, let's hold up here, man. Let's hold up now. You see what all the talking is about? This is the point now. That is very interesting. The Septuagint was not translated in so-called Jerusalem. It was translated in Egypt, in Northeast Africa, at the Library of Alexandria. This is very important. Now, it was under the time of the Ptolemies, and I'm sure many of you would understand of the whole aspect of the creation of this god figure known as Serapis or Serapis. Yeah, this sir came and raped and yeah, man, he did the full thing. And Serapis is a blend of Asa and Apis the bull. So it was Ptolemy the first who created this Serapis, and Ptolemy himself was one of the generals of Alexander the Fake. So what Ptolemy did now, remember Alexander came and conquered a lot of ancient Northeast Africa. And of course, Ptolemy, one of his generals, took that area there, and Ptolemy created this demon figure known as Serapis. Obviously, it doesn't. It shouldn't surprise you. You're now ruling a land where there are the ancient monuments, the ancient civilization, and the creation of mathematics, and the creation of science and astronomy, and all the ancient arts, language, as we have been talking of. All of this is seen right here, even in ancient Kemet. Now, this is the land that they conquered. And of course, all the gods, Amun was black, and Osiris is black. Everybody is black. So they said, nah, man, this ain't gonna work. So they changed the head deity the Son of God, if you please, and made this whitewash God figure Serapis. That's it. So Serapis now, the library of Alexander was before like a temple to Serapis. To be more precise, the library of Alexander was almost like an annex to a temple that was built. I think that's more correct. The Serapeum, and in this Serapeum now, all of the ancient scrolls. Listen good, in the Serapeum, all of the ancient scrolls from Kemet were taken and stored, as much as Ptolemy could get. Because what Ptolemy did, he went all through Kemet over the years that he was ruling, and he burnt down temples, and he took the ancient scrolls, he took the ancient writings, and he took all of them and stored them, what he could get, into his Serapeum. Now, even after he died, his son Ptolemy II came and carried on the work of his daddy, securing the scrolls, keeping them in this Serapeum that was built. In fact, his son, I think, added on to the building and created a temple for Dionysus. So it was a lot of construction, a lot of renovation taking place during the time of the Ptolemies. We're dealing with history. So now this is why now in 285 BCE, Ptolemy convened a specific, well, you could say this is now the creation of the Septuagint. It is said that he called for 72 scholars from the Levant region. All of this area was occupied by black people, and these scholars came into the library of Alexandria, or the temple now for Serapis, the same library and temple where all the scrolls are. And these 72 individuals came and they translated the Holy Torah into the Septuagint that you know of today. Now the Septuagint actually means 70, that's what it means. As I said, there were 72 individuals that came and translated this Septuagint, or translated the holy books into the Septuagint. And all of this is science, secret science. Although there were 72, they didn't name it the 72, they named it the 70. All of that is science. The 72 is very deep, as you know, the same Osiris story, mystery. There are 72 individuals that came, to the coronation of Osiris. And I mean, if you watch my documentary, The Master of Ceremonies, you should give it a watch if you have not. The Master of Ceremonies is right there on my YouTube site, Priest Isaac YouTube site. The Master of Ceremonies, or even the documentary 7, which I definitely encourage you all to look at. 7, part 1 and part 2. If you haven't seen part 2, I have uploaded it, and I speak of the 72 in the procession of the equinoxes. The sun moves 1 degree every 72 years in the procession of the equinox, and of course the whole aspect of the 72 with the cycle of not the cycle really, but the maturity of the sperm, 72 days to mature, and the heartbeat 72 times a minute. And when you see the 60 seconds a minute in contrast to the 72 a minute, you can understand all of that is secret science. That's why we deal with the mystery system here. That's why they put a wrist watch on your wrist. You're taking a wrist. So that is beating 60 times in the frame of a minute, while you are pumping 72 times in the frame of that same minute span. And the same wrist is what the doctor takes to test your pulse. I mean, this is deep science, you know. You're taking a risk. But anyway, that's almost the next subject altogether. So the 72, you know, 72 nations came to the coronation of Haile Selassie. This is deep science. So these 72, they say Enoch had 72 names. Am I correct? Yeah. So these 72 individuals that came to Kemet to translate the Torah came to the temple of the Serapis, the temple built by Ptolemy I, the temple that was expanded by Ptolemy II, the same temple that was storing all these Kemetic scrolls that had the creation story, had the story of Amun, had the story of Atum, all the glyphs, all the papyri, all the writings of the pyramid texts and the coffin texts, all of these were in the same temple that these 72 were sitting in, translating and creating the beginning of the known Bible, the Septuagint. And this is why I am not being cheeky when I stress again that the oldest known Hebrew Bible that you could pull is the Leningrad, and it's 1,000 years from the recording that we're doing here. When the Septuagint was being created, we're talking about at least 2,300 years ago. So the Septuagint was translated, yes, but what was it really translated from? It was translated from the Hebrew text, the Torah. Okay, that's what you believe. Is there proof? Where is the book that it was translated from? Wow, but we can prove that the temple, the library, the first museum where this translation was taking place, there were countless of scrolls with the ancient story of Ptah, Nun and Naunet. If you look at the original, the origin of civilization, the documentary that we did prior to this, we gave you the story of the Nun or Nu, and Nu on the solar bark, and Nu carrying the boat with the 8 individuals as a creation story. And we showed you even in the book of Genesis, Genesis, the genealogy of Isis, when it speaks of Noah, whose name is Nu. Noah's name is Nu. Nu is the Arabic name, or the Kara for Arabic came from the script known as the Kara script. Nu. You see, this is why it's important to understand the origin of the languages. Nu is Kemetic. Kara, Ka and Ra, the Kara script is where you get the Arabic from the Kara script. That's why you hear them speaking about the Kaaba and all of these different things. It's no mistake. So the Kara script speaks of the Nu. Nu is Noah, and Noah built the the ark. And Nu had the ark. The bark. So which Nu had the bark? I think it's the same Nu that built the ark. Well, the ark, it's the same ark, it's the boat. And 8 people on Nu boat. Okay, and how much people was on Nu boat? You just said 8. No, not this Nu, the other Nu. Oh, he had 8 too. It's the same story. And the older one is the one with Nu and the bark. And Nu and the ark was what came out of the Septuagint, translated from the story of Nu and the bark. Many are not aware of the fact that the Septuagint, or the Torah, we're speaking of the 5 books, belong to a category that they call pseudepigraphy. Now, if you study theology, anyone that has been to Bible school, I've not been to Bible school, but I study theology. I'm talking Bible theology on my own, obviously. And the Bible is separated into different parts. You would be surprised that when you see someone comes out of these high-ranking institutions with their doctorate of divinity, you know, and these different things, they have been taught the concept. They don't seem to teach it in the church, but they have been taught that the whole Bible is not historically correct. And you could ask them, but they may not tell you, because you must understand that Christendom, especially the higher echelons, is really masonry in another form. Or masonry, not no another form. That's masonry. That's what it is. So these 3 degrees people, and 4 degrees and 2 degrees, or how many ever degrees they may have, are actually taught this. So the Torah is considered pseudepigrapha, and that is so mystic within. And how this can be proven as well, and this is very important. Now, first of all, that is not me, that is the science itself of theology or Bible study, what you may study as such when you go to the seminary school, basically. But this is actually assigned by the early biblical scholars, and this can be seen because you got to keep in mind, you know, when it comes to Christian history now, please listen to me, my brothers and sisters, I don't want you to lose this. When it comes to the history of Christianity and Judaism, especially as it relates to the New Testament, Josephus is basically the prime historian and scholar here. Now, according to the Jews, you know, man, Josephus, the ancient Jews regarded Josephus as a sellout. That's why he's called Josephus Flavius. Remember, he went over as such to the side of the Flavians, if you understand that history. So he was actually seen as a sellout. But yet still, it is this Josephus from that time, around the 1st century AD we're talking, who was the individual that gave to the world the reality then of the New Testament scriptures. He confirmed as a historian that yes, this is accepted and this is what you are supposed to follow. Basically, I think most church fathers and most church pastors and those who really study Christianity would agree with me. Good. Now, it is Josephus himself that quoted in a specific letter known as the letter of Aristeas. Remember, Josephus is the prime candidate here now, the prime individual that we trust in. And he now, in this specific letter, speaks of the translation of the Septuagint from its ancient tongue. Listen to this. The letter of Aristeas, or the letter to Philocrates, is a Hellenistic work of the 2nd century BCE, assigned by biblical scholars to the Pseudepigrapha, which is the very same pseudographic, same thing, Pseudepigrapha or pseudographic. And if you were to look up Pseudepigrapha, as I just explained, the Old Testament as such is referred to as Pseudepigrapha. And Pseudepigrapha, according to its definition, are falsely attributed works, texts, whose claimed author is not the true author. Hold on. Okay. Now, this is where we have to take our time. I'm not making up anything here. This is nothing made up. And you know it's sad because I am a teacher. I'm not afraid to say I am a teacher. And I am not speaking to entertain anyone. I honestly want my audience to comprehend what I'm saying. And it's sad that we have created this sort of atmosphere now where we don't really want to learn. Knowledge and consciousness is like some sort of gladiator sport now. And we come with some dogmatic ideas and we actually shut our ear to the truth. And we listen keenly for what we want to hear. And also listen keenly for what we don't want to hear. Ready to debunk it. It's sick. Listen with an open mind. I am telling you that especially if an individual is, let's use the term, hardcore Bible, especially under the Christian faith. Well, I'm saying Josephus, who is credited as really the chief Christian historian and scholar, not me saying that, clearly mentions that the Septuagint translation literally is considered as pseudepigrapha. And that means that they are falsely attributed works. Texts whose claimed authors, listen good, texts whose claimed authors are not the true authors. He's speaking of the Septuagint, which, as I was saying, we have been taught was translated from the Torah Hebrew script, a script that cannot be detected nowhere on the radar right now, but yet still etched in rock and stone all over the ancient Northeast Africa. You have similar stories exactly parallel to what is in the Bible. And this is why now people could rise up and say, but look, the story of Christ and Heru. Heru himself, born of the virgin birth, and Heru himself becoming a man at the age of 12, 13, and Heru being crucified at this age and resurrected at this time and in the underworld for this period of time, and his evil brother slewing him, and then many individuals will tell you, but listen, the Adam and Eve story, you can find it in the creation of the first time story, the Anu theology. As I mentioned, the story of Noah, and many other different stories that you read in the Bible. Many ones, not me, I'm not saying me too, but many ones over the years have highlighted that there's a strong similarity in the Bible verses and scripture to that which is found even in the Kemetic scripts. Now listen to this. Is there anyone that can deny that the hymn to the Aten is like a perfect mirror of Psalms 104? There it is. The hymn to Aten has been expressed by King Akhenaten. Akhenaten, the Kemetic king of the 18th dynasty, considered by many as the first Christ, considered by many as the true Moses, and some say the true David. All of these things we will speak about in the future, but let's not spend time on that. Let's just highlight that, as you can see, many different verses. The hymn to Aten, as I said, coming out of the ancient dynastic period of Kemet. Now, this is before the time of the translation to the Septuagint. Not only that, if Psalms 104 was written by David or Moses, because there are also Psalms of Moses too within the Psalms, the chronological timing given to Moses, Akhenaten would have been before Moses. Now, you don't have to be upset. No one is saying Moses was the first human being. Akhenaten is before Moses. So that means Akhenaten is before David. So Akhenaten has a hymn that when you read the Psalms of David, this hymn and the Psalm is basically the same. The Psalm, bless the Lord, you who coverest thyself with light as with a garment. And the hymn, when the land grows bright and you are risen from the horizon, the Akhet, and shining in the sun disk by day. Next verse, the Psalm, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and the trees. Next verse, the Aten, all the flocks are at rest on their grasses, trees and grasses flourish. Next verse, Psalm, where the birds make their nests, as for the stork, the fir trees are her house. Next verse, the hymn to Aten, birds flowed from their nests, their wings in adoration of your life force. Interesting. Next verse from the Psalm, Psalm 104, by the way, the high hills are the refuge for the wild goats. As the sun arises, the beasts gather themselves together. The next verse for the hymn of Aten from Akhenaten in Kemet, Egypt, all flocks prancing on foot, all that fly and alight, living as you rise for them. Psalm, there go the ships, Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play. Therein they have whale for Leviathan. There's a little tongue tied there, but I don't agree that it's a whale. But it says, there goes the ships, according to the hymn of Akhenaten. Ships go downstream, and upstream too, every road open, and at your appearance. And as you can see, it's basically, as I said, the same thing. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the water, fish on the river leaping to your face, your rays even go through the water, rays and beams. It's basically the same thing. The hymn of Aten, which is older than the Psalms, and I don't mean older than the Psalms as far as when we can detect the Psalms, you know. Because if we go to the point when we really detect the Psalms, it's Septuagint we're dealing with, 285 BCE. But let's deal with what we are expected to believe, that the Psalms are from a time at least 1,000 years to maybe 900 years BCE. Correct? Good. We're dealing with Akhenaten's hymn, where it is at least 1,500 years BCE. And the hymn of Akhenaten, the hymn to the sun, is exactly the same as the Psalm of David. What am I supposed to do? Pretend that I don't know this? It's disgusting. Some of us, we act like ostriches and we stick our head in the ground and pretend we don't see. Listen, I ain't afraid of no knowledge, because as I said, watch the master of ceremonies. People would say, well, you see, Osiris is not a real man. Osiris is a principle. I agree. But I prove that that principle manifested itself into flesh as Haile Selassie I. So I'm showing you now again, this is very important, that even the way that you are supposed to use that book, the Bible, again, Ethiopia has one of the oldest versions of the Bible, not in Hebrew, in the Ge'ez. And this version of the Bible and the oldest churches that remain. Remember, many of the old churches of Ethiopia were actually burnt down by the queen Judith. It was, if I'm correct. And a lot of these churches that were burnt down were dating way before any Coptic church, even older than the monastery of Saint Catherine that is in Kemet. So in other words, this anciency, because you have to remember, you know, even those of us who say that we are Rastafari, it was an interview when I think the man name was Neil, I can't remember, but it was a documentary. It's right there on a documentary right there on the YouTube. Expo 70. Haile Selassie was on a train going to Canada. I know most of you Rastas know it, man. On a train going to Canada.
It was on Chrome.
Yes, go on the Chrome and you can find it. And it was on this visit going to Canada on a train, Expo 70. And the interviewer asked him, Bill McNeil is the name of the man that was doing the interview. Bill McNeil. And he said, Your Majesty, you know, Ethiopia, Christianity came to Ethiopia in about the 4th century AD, because you must understand, and this point I'm going to make now is very important. You must comprehend that there's a history of how Christianity came to Ethiopia. Fermentus and his brother and the shipwreck. They were shipwrecked and they came to King Izana. And they showed King Izana of Christ and Christianity. And it was from that time King Izana accepted Christianity. This is the story. There are two stories in Ethiopia. There are two types of Christianity in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is not a little island, you know. This is a vast place. Undiscovered areas and regions. When His Majesty was asked by Mr. Bill McNeil, as it relates to the origin of Christianity in Ethiopia, he actually said, Your Majesty, Christianity came to Ethiopia in the 4th century AD. And Haile Selassie replied, if you read your Bible, you would see exactly what time Christianity came to Ethiopia. And he said it in English. And if you listen to that video or audio, the same Bill McNeil, he actually spoke over the English. I don't know why he did that. His Majesty was speaking perfect English. He spoke over the English and started to say, in the Bible, you read of Philip and the apostle, and Philip met the Ethiopian eunuch coming from Jerusalem, and he spoke to him about Christ and all of that, you know. Good. But what I'm saying, he clearly gave the story of Fermentus and the shipwreck in the 4th century, 4th century, 4th century AD. You check it. When Philip met the Ethiopian official, you're talking about the time when BC turned into AD. So that's like 400 years before the shipwreck of Fermentus, and he came to King Izana. What I'm saying, especially to those who are Rastafari, what I'm saying is this, that when Bill McNeil asked Haile Selassie as it relates to Christianity coming to Ethiopia, he mentioned that it happened in the 4th century AD, and His Majesty reply was such as, listen And you can read it too in one of the Jahag books. His reply was, if you read your Bible, you see exactly when Christianity came to Ethiopia. Check that vibration. So in other words, this is more than meets the eye. Islam and Quran and these things, they're more than it meets the eye. Islam doesn't belong to the Arab people. I mentioned the script is a Kara script. Islam is more Ethiopian than Arab. This is why Bilal is the black Ethiopian that called for the first Salat. So the science there, as I said, the Kara script and the Kaaba, the Ka and the Ba, the Kaaba stone, Arabic. So I'm just showing you now with the science of understanding deeper than what it is. And this is why I took the time to explain the origin of these scripts, and took the time to explain that Ethiopia does have one of the oldest versions of the Bible. And we're not talking about from the 4th century now. As he himself said, if you read your Bible, you see exactly when Christianity came to Ethiopia. But listen to me now, the science is this. This is why I personally now, as I said, I come under fire from different ones. You know, some ones have the nerve to say, oh, you know, Rastaman trying to use Kemet to prove his point. Come on, man. I put Inferno on that. You know, I'm not a person to be talking like, we're going in 2017. I've been doing this for over 20 years, you know, man. Over 20 years. As a teenager. Beginning my studies. Before I even accepted the divinity of Haile Selassie I, which is, you know, basically the same 20 years ago from this date. My first book was a book I received leaving from secondary school entitled Rastafari and Resistance. And as soon as I completed reading that book, it disappeared. I mean, up to this day, I don't know where that book went. And from that time, I began my studies. And the first book I bought was The Destruction of the Black Civilization. And from that time, the great knowledge of Kemet have caught me. So don't be telling me no Rasta trying to use nothing. At that time, I had not even accepted the divinity of Haile Selassie. It is understanding the true science of Kemet where I can clearly see that, yeah, this is talking about Rastafari. Look at the locks. Rastafari. So now this is what I'm showing you now. That the science of the sun, again, because of, in the interest of time, I would like to even refer you to the documentary 7. You know, especially the first part. It's right there on the YouTube. I'm sure you can see it on the sidebar there. The documentary 7. And the documentary 7, we take time to explain the cycle of the sun and the movement of the sun. So I would refer to you to that documentary. But just to give a quick, you know, when you understand, of course, the sun does rotate. The sun, helium and hydrogen. The sun is electromagnetic energy. And the sun, the equator of the sun rotates once every 26 days, you know. And the pole of the sun, the polar magnetic field of the sun rotates once every 37 days. And in this rotation, every 87.5 days, they actually collide. The both polar and equator magnetic field lines of the sun actually collide with each other. So basically what's happening here with this constant collision, you know, the energy under the surface of the sun basically explodes. This is what we call sunspots, by the way. The whole 11-year sunspot cycle and all of these different things. Now, the sunspot and all of these different things, have been just lately discovered by the what you call modern day science. And modern day science itself, actually, these big telescopes and Hubble and all of these stuff, just seeing things that we have, carved on the walls from ancient of days. As a matter of fact, in our previous, episode of the Mystic Vibration, the origin of civilization, if you have not watched it, again, you should look at that as well. The origin of civilization. We showed you at the Temple of Abydos the Black Hawk helicopter and, Airwolf and the submarine and all of these different things. So what we're showing you, that we understood this science from a long time. So the feathered snake now. The feathered snake. That's why when you see Ra above Horus, or the Ra Harakate or Harakute, that Ra, some says Ra the Elder, some says Horus and Ra. It's a deep science, by the way. You notice the Horus there is presents the Heru, the falcon, and the snake around the sun. The snake and the bird. What are you talking about? The snake and the bird, or the feathered snake. Now many people like to refer to the feathered snake as Quetzalcoatl. The Quetzalcoatl, the man spoke about the Quetzalcoatl, which is again the snake with wings, the flying snake. It looks like the caduce, which is the medical symbol of the snake, and the kundalini and the wings and the energy. This is why now, so the cycle of the sun, by the way, the cycle of the sun, the sun, because the sun has always been considered as the life giver. That's why we're in the solar system. Sol, S-O-L, Sol, R-A-R-R-A, Ra, Sol and Ra. The Sol is Ra. Ra is the sun. The Kemetic Ra is the sun, solar. And Ra-Amon is Solomon. Yeah, Ra-Amon, Sol-Amon, Solomon is Ra-Amon. It's secret science. That's why Solomon is like the grandmaster of the stuff, man. This is deep. And you hear them talk about being member of the craft of Aman. It is deep science. This is the mystery system we deal with. That's what I deal with, the mystery system, which is really the gateway to enter into the astral world, the ether world. Many people talk about the astral, traveling. That's dreaming, brother. You're dreaming. That's what it is. When you sleep, you do astral project, but many people not aware that me, there's a boy, he sleep good last night, and that was about it. So the science of the sun, as I said, has always been seen as the feathered snake. What the feathered snake stood for is the manifestation of, let's say, the cycle of the sun in flesh, in a human form. So that is why Lord Pakal was seen as the feathered snake. He was considered as the full manifestation of the cycle of the sun in human form. Tutankhamun was seen as the feathered snake. He was considered as the full manifestation of the cycle of the sun in human form. That's Tutankhamun, feathered snake. So the point I'm making is that when you look at a computer graph, you could actually see the feathered snake. You actually see the sun. The graph itself looks like a snake with feathers on it, and that is actually the cycle of the sun seen on a computer graph. How mystic it is. So the point now is that when you take that science and couple it again with the language, herein lies the language. The language is very important. Joshua stopped the sun. Now you see, you must understand, if Joshua was to stop the sun, obviously it's not the sun that would have to stop, it's the planet would have to stop rotating and revolving for the sun to stop. And Joshua had this great battle, and Joshua spoke to God, and God stopped the sun. Now, especially those who follow the Ethiopian legends, they have Ethiopians that have been recorded as stopping the sun. I think it's Germania one of the ancient ones that came to translate some of the Gospels into Ge'ez, and it said that this is about the 5th century AD, and it says that when he was translating, this ancient saint, when he was translating, the sun was going down, and he asked the God of the heavens to stop the sun, and he stopped the sun. And after stopping the sun, there he is there, after stopping the sun, he completed the work. And these manuscripts, these books are seen in some of the ancient monasteries in Ethiopia up to today. This brother stopped the sun. Joshua stopped the sun. In Isaiah time, the sundial went back 10 degrees. So he didn't only stop the sun, he stopped the sun reversed and then came back again. This is very serious, you know, if you understand this science here. So Joshua stopping the sun, what does that mean? And listen, my brothers and sisters, we have some videos coming after this. I need to go into fairy tale, folly days and nursery crimes, the execution. And it may sound strange, but to understand these documentaries, you're going to have to understand this, what we're doing here. And I'm going to refer to these episodes when I do those other episodes, so we don't go over things and over things. That's why I'm even referring to the documentary 7. It's right there on the YouTube. 7, The Divinity of King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. You should watch it if you have not, and you'd understand more of what I'm saying about the cycle of the sun and the importance of how we had the rotation of the sun with the quote-unquote coming of God, the Son of God, S-U-N of God. So yeah, it's good to say, well, you know, Christ has the halo behind his head. It's the sun. The halo means sun. Halo, halo, sun, hello. It's the sun. He's the sun. He is the Son of God. So Jesus now, the Son of God. Not Jesus. Joshua, the Son of God. Joshua stopped the sun. No, but that's a different Joshua. Hold on. St. Paul says that these scriptures that we are reading in Galatians chapter 4 are allegory. That makes sense to me. Why? Because the Septuagint was recorded from scrolls that were allegory. The Septuagint was copied from scrolls that were allegory. How do you know that? Maybe you just started to listen to this documentary. You should go back to the beginning. 72 people in the room for months, and this room had no television, no cable, no radios. All they had to entertain themselves were Egyptian scrolls, the papyri of Ani, and the written pyramid texts, and the written coffin texts, and the book of the gates, and all the other stories. Countless scrolls in the room, and they came out with a book known as the Septuagint. And these scrolls and the Septuagint story are extremely similar. In some cases the name has changed, but that's not a problem, because Josephus, our chief historian, already told us that the book is Pseudepigrapha or pseudegraphic. When we looked up the word, it says that the text or the writing has been credited to false authors. This is a very serious thing. Alright, so the point is that what is coming out of this temple in Egypt is similar to the scrolls that are in the temple. And the scrolls that are in the temple are tens of thousands of years. They have been taken from the walls. And these stories have always been symbolic. And these stories have always been esoteric. And these stories have always been an allegory. So when St. Paul in Galatians says that the story of Abraham, Hagar, and Sarah is an allegory, I have no problem with that. Haile Selassie the First, we in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions of the book called the Bible. We wrote the book of Enoch. Enoch is Tahuti. The emerald tablets, Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes is Greek. Hermes, what mess? That's Hermes that they made there of Enoch, Henoch. The Henochians in the Central America and Southern America, they were visited by Tahuti, Enoch. This is deep vibration, you know, man. So what I'm showing you is that Joshua now, the language, the son of Mary, his name is Joshua. No, his name is Jesus. Yeah. I think we know by now that if Joshua's name was mentioned in the New Testament, for example, Moses and Joshua, in the New Testament it would be called Moses and Jesus. Because the Old Testament is Hebrew, correct? That's what we've been taught. Good. So Yehoshua, Joshua is the Hebrew. Jesus, which is Zeus, Jesus, that's why J-E-S-U-S is Jesus in habla español. But anyway, Jesus is the Greek. So Joshua, Jesus. Jesus, Joshua, and Mary, these are not names. That's why Mary, you have Mary and Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, and Mary the sister of Salome, and Mariam. And in the Quran, if you read the Quran properly, and we have to do a documentary on that, because I never heard a Muslim speak about this, and I read my Quran. And in the Quran, you know, man, in the Quran they have a book dedicated to Mary or Mariam. And this Mariam is a mystic character. She is the sister of Aaron. She is the sister of Moses. She is the mother of Isa, which is Jesus. But then it's still Joshua. You need to read the Quran. I'm going to do a documentary on it, and you will see what I'm speaking of. Because I've never heard no one address this as it relates to the Mariam in that Quran. Because remember, there's a Miriam in the Old Testament who is the sister of Moses, who is the sister of Aaron. But according to the Bible, we don't know her having no son called Isa. Isa is the Arabic name for Jesus, which is the Greek name for Yehoshua, which is Joshua. And mystically there is a Joshua around the time of Moses. There is a Joshua around the time of Aaron. There is a Joshua around the time of Miriam. And this Joshua stopped the sun. The son of God. He's the son. He stopped the sun. That's why the halo is behind the head. We're not talking about the sun saying, and stand up. We're dealing with allegory. Joshua is a title. This is a science that is going on right before our eyes. That's why Joshua is the son of N-U-N. He's the son of none. He has no mother nor father like Melchizedek. He's the son of none. Nun, the Nun. Ptah came out of the Nun as the son, the Ra, the Amun-Ra. The son came out of Nun, I should say. Amun-Ra, Ra, Solomon. That's why the Bible is book number 1 in the Freemasonic halls. A chief amount of that book is allegory. Now, I'm not saying that they're not literal things in it, because I clearly showed you that even from the mystery system, it does manifestate into flesh. And they do have stories in the Bible now where you highlight even King Tahaka, King Shabaka, and these records are found amongst the records of King Tahaka and King Shabaka. Similar records to what the Bible records of these same kings. You see, this is how you have a discussion, you know, without emotion, and I don't believe, and no, so what? Now just, let's say I believe Moses went up into the mountains and got the 10 Commandments. And this may flip you out, but I believe that. You crazy, and after all what you just say. But take your time. Who is Moses? Not the mythical character, you know. I believe Osiris went underground and resurrected, but I just told you who was Osiris. Haile Selassie the First. Anubis is Marcus Garvey. The mystery school. But listen, so in concluding all of this, you know, because obviously there's so much other things I could say, but I'm showing you with Joshua stopping the sun, it's symbolically showing you that he is the full manifestation of the sun. That's why he could stop it. Joshua is Jesus. Jesus, Joshua, it's a title. The other Yehoshua, and Jesus is in the Bible. There's another Joshua that stood before God, and Satan was on his right hand to condemn him, and he got a fresh robe and a fresh turban. Right in the book of, I think it's Zechariah, if I'm correct. Yes. So let's understand it's a science here. These are titles because we're dealing with allegory. The enslaver brought you down to the lowest level. This flat plane, even his language is just flat. So we think in this linear level instead of in different dimensions. Man, your scriptures, and it's really sick for us to think the Bible is something to throw in the rubbish bin. Believe me, it's sick. No matter what you think it went through, we in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions. And I'm telling you, the black people that translated the Septuagint didn't translate it from the Hebrew. These are our ancient Kemetic scripts that we have. Again, that's why it's book number 1 in the Freemasonic halls. Within it is a lot of hidden science. And I'll show you one thing even before we go. I'll show you a couple more things, man. Because even the story of Jonah, which we will revisit in the future, Jonah swallowed by the fish, not by the whale, by the fish. The nun is the fish too. The nun. That's why Joshua, Jonah, Joseph, check the vibes. Jonah without the J. Okay, well, you know, Hebrew had no J. You still, I don't know what had J, but J is a sound. J. So I don't know, maybe Hebrew didn't have a J. I'm not arguing about that, but that doesn't mean the sound J didn't exist. But anyway, when you take the J from Jonah, look at the letters. You have Noah. And Jonah and Noah, these are people that deal with ships. He was in a ship. And water. Jonah swallowed by this great fish, not a whale. It is Walt Disney that turned that story into Jonah swallowed by a whale. I will prove that when I do the execution of the fairy tales. So Jonah was swallowed by a fish, because when you put him in a whale, you give praises to the Prince of Wales. You may be laughing now. I just don't have the time to explain. Walt Disney, man. Come on, even Pinocchio, before Walt Disney took hold of that, even Pinocchio in the ancient stories was swallowed by a fish, not a whale. The Pisces age, Christ and the fish and bread, symbolism heavens, man. The Nun, Joshua the son of Nun. Noah, Jonah, similar thing, same vibration. The watery world. I find it mystic, you know. There was a part in the book of the Gospel of St. John's where they ask Christ, are you the Elias that is to come, or the Isaiah, you know? You know, or is there another? And what is outstanding is that Elias is, again, New Testament is Elijah. Elias is Elijah. And Elijah, as you know, that mighty prophet. Isaiah is Isaiah, which is considered the messianic prophet. And Isaiah or Isaiah is that prophet that speaks about, you know, who shall believe our report, Isaiah 53, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed, and he speaks of the coming Christ, Emmanuel, and these different things. He mentions Emmanuel twice. And in Ethiopia they speak about the ascension of Isaiah, just like they speak about the ascension of Elijah. Now Elijah, as I said, is Elias, E-L-I-A-S, and Isaiah, E-S-A-I-A-S. Now if you scramble these two names, both Elias and Isaiah, just scramble them, and you use the letters S, the letters E, the letters L, the letters A, the letter S, the next S, an I and an E. If you take these letters from these two names, Elias and Isaiah, you get the word Selassie. And why I'm saying that is that these are not just two names we picked at random or tried to find two names. These are two key names, Elijah and Isaiah, messianic prophet, and the great prophet Elijah, who ascended. Okay, and you get the word Selassie, and you have two A's and an I remaining, so you have Selassie I or Selassie I. I'm not done. As I said, Elias is Elijah. Now if you check Elijah, E-L-I-J-A-H, again, no J in Hebrew, good, take it out. Take the J out of Elijah, and you turn Elijah around, you get the word highly. So these three names, Elijah, Elias, and Isaiah, give you the name Haile Selassie I. Right there in the Bible. We in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions. Today man sees his hopes and aspiration crumbling before him. He is perplexed and knows not whether he is drifting, but he must realize that the Bible is his refuge and the rallying point for all humanity. In it man will find the solutions of his present difficulties and guidance for his future actions, unless he accepts it with a clear conscience. The Bible and its great message, he cannot hope for salvation. Wow. For my part, I glory in the Bible. I'm not talking about King James. We in Ethiopia have the Bible in Ge'ez, ancient manuscript. You can't diss that, because if you diss that, you're like you're dissing the Papyrus of Ani. Why? Because that was a book that came down from off of the coffin text, that came down off of the pyramid text, that came down off of the text that we found in the kingdom of Yam, and even from the papyri of those kings that move on. You got the book of Gates. And remember, the language is coming down. This is a deep science that we need to look into. Holy Emmanuel, Selassie, Rastafari. This is prosperity. This is a natural, all natural, holistic, herbal product created by the Great Physician International. The Great Physician International, as I'm sure many of you would know, was formed and established by the Hon.Priest Kailash Leonce.
the Honorable Priest Kailash Leons, is a chief herbal physician, a traditional healer. And of course, he's also a priest of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress. Now, the prosperity has been designed to nourish the prostate gland of the man. The prosperity specifically contains the gully root, also called the kojo root. Some people refer to it as the guinea hen root. It also has the standing stinning nettle. The prosperity also has all natural corn silk. Also inside of the prosperity you have, I'm not going to tell you anymore. The prosperity, all of the ingredients are on the label. But as I said, it is an all natural product, holistic product, designed and made right here in the Caribbean, made from all the natural herbs that we have growing so wild around us. And if you need more information on the prosperity and all of the natural products that the Great Physician International carries, you could even easily check the website priestkailash.com and get more information on the all-natural laxatives, the blood detoxifiers. A lot of us, we need to detox our blood. The dewormer, some of our children, we're not even aware that they're filled with worms. Of course, we have products for the circulation of the blood and many, many different things. The womb cleanser for the woman. Many sisters are suffering with fibroids and cysts. As a matter of fact, the majority, I think it's in the 90s as it relates to percentage of our black sisters, have some level of fibroids within their womb. And that has to do with our diet. Diet, you get it? Diet. You die because of what you ate. What did you eat or eat? Dead things, diet. So this is why, as I said before, we change the language and it's a livity, a livet. You know, so when we were in the darkest days of slavery, you know, the woman would have to run for her life from the slave master, because when he catches her, he would rip the womb out of her insides. But now today she doesn't even do that. She goes to the same slave master, the killer, and pay him money to take out her womb. What you talking about? It's called hysterectomy. Because the sister has this mass build up within her womb, fibroids or cysts, because of what she has been eating. Who is feeding her? The same killer, the colonel and his brother. And because of what she's eating, the synthetic estrogen and all these hormones, these foreign hormones and steroids, what it does, it plays with the reproductive system of the woman, and there she has the fibroids. Can this be reversed naturally? Oh yes, the womb cleanser. But of course, you know, it's better to take your hard-earned money, your week's pay, your month's pay, the rent, the box money, the light bill, and go to the killer with the stethoscope around his neck. That's not the only thing that should be around his neck, but let me continue. And the white coat. And you pay him thousands of dollars to put you on an operation table and take his knife and cut your stomach wall down and rip the womb from out of you. I wonder when we were really enslaved. I think before we were emancipated, we were not slaves, we were prisoners of war. We are slaves now. I mean, that sort of action, we pay for that. Before we were running for our lives from the killer and his butcher knife. Now we pay him. We make an appointment. Doctor call you. Mr. Jacob, are you coming in today? Oh yes, today's my appointment. I got to go and take my womb out. So my brothers and sisters, this is very serious, and this is why. In this time we must understand, it's almost it's ludicrous for our former enslaver to feed us. Our former enslaver is our teacher. Our former enslaver is our doctor. Our former enslaver is our nurse. Man, we shouldn't even make our former enslaver put gasoline in our car. That's just to show you how deadly the killer is. So, to keep on point, if you want more information or even to see the range of, you know, wonderful range of medicines that the great physician has. As I said, priestkailash.com. And again, all of these products were made right here in the Caribbean, made from the spring water. And the Honorable Priest Kailash, the great physician, it is headquartered in St. Lucia. And his naturopathic clinic is established within the Kailash Mountains. And you, depending on whatever ailment you may have, and you don't have to be sick, you could even reserve your space and you could visit the Caribbean for 3 weeks or 7 days, 21 days, 14 days, and spend time in the Kailash Mountains, in the establishment, his naturopathic clinic, and you know, experience the natural volcanic springs, mud baths, and the natural vegan ital food that he will provide for you. But to get more information on that, you should visit the website, priestkailash.com. And as I said, you could also observe all the medicines and cures that are available. But again, the prosperity itself is again a male enhancing tonic. It nourishes the prostate gland of the man. If you have any problem with your urination or even any urinary tract infection, the prosperity is the thing for you. Also, even when it comes to erectile dysfunction, you don't have to worry about that other stuff that is going to give you side effects. I mean, I was watching an advertisement with one of these miracle pills, and the man is whispering, if your eyes begin to bleed, call your doctor. I said, what? If your tongue begins to swell, call your doctor. Huh? Which doctor? The same killer that gave me the stuff. If you have suicidal thoughts, give me a break. If I have suicidal thoughts, why on earth should I be drinking a medicine that's gonna give me suicidal thought? Do you know what suicide means? Suicide, that's the side effect. Suicide, homicide, you gotta be careful when you walk on the sidewalk. So the point is, my brothers and sisters, all natural, the prosperity. And this is a product that we here at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge, we definitely promote this product, and we also carry the prosperity specifically. So you could get the prosperity directly from us here at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge. You could order the prosperity directly from us right here at the Priest Isaac Institute of Holistic Knowledge. As you know, we are directly connected with the Great Physician International in St. Lucia, amongst the rivers and the springs, you know. So my brothers and sisters, as I said, everything is all natural coming from the Caribbean. You would know where I am is in Antigua, and of course I think everyone knows by now that St. Lucia is also my home as well. But the point I'm making, my brothers and sisters, if you're serious about your health, if you're serious about your wealth, because your health is your wealth, you could definitely again contact the Great Physician International. Take a look at the website, look at all the great products that are available. But as far as the prosperity specifically, I know we like that word, you could definitely order it directly from us. This little bottle, you take it by drops. It's a tincture, extremely concentrated and extremely strong. And believe me, you will see the difference. So you could give me a call or WhatsApp, and of course, you know, we could ship your prosperity to you. I'm sure you could get it in a matter of days. Do give thanks. As we always say, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And it takes some real eyes to realize the real lies that are amongst us. Please share this video with a friend. I do appreciate your company. Holy Manuel Eyes, Jah Rastafari, blessed love.
fast, no boom the acoustic. Make them done know from them born and grow. Yes, the tender herb from them born and grow. Rastafari the hold the door. And he ever was so, you know. He ever was so, and it ever was so, you know. He ever was so. There's the palace down here, so in a ghetto. It ever was so. You know, you born in a ghetto. You know, he ever was so. Elevate themselves for distinction, and them still seem to know that Selassie rule the earth take us up, and he ever was so. You know, he ever was so. You know, he ever was so. He ever was so. He ever was so. Selassie rule the anciency. It ever was so. His eminency from the ancient lion of white bull of Genesis. He carried more Torah, and it ever was so. You know, he ever was.